Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to my Expanded Showcase. Today we're talking about Lugia V-Star, the gatekeeper, the powerhouse, the deck which fills everyone with fear and dread. Whenever you go get an expanded format, it's Lugia. It has this real strong capability because it has these really big dragon tag teams because you can utilize double dragon energy, which pretty much is double rainbow to any dragon Pokemon, which is really, really strong. You can get Summoning Star out if you go second with the likes of Wally, is a really powerful supporter card. And also you can win as early as going second, which is really, really scary. So today I'm going to talk to you exactly how that is the case. What is the pros and cons of this list? And more importantly, talking about the future, is it a worthy archetype? And looking at some of the winning lists that have done well in this format. Obviously, as we know that there was a huge tournament happening at the start of the year in the expanded format, and we're going to break down exactly that list as well. I've talked about that list multiple times, and that's the reason why, because Lugia hasn't really evolved. It's kind of adapted with some sort of cards here and there, but mainly it hasn't changed because someone created an absolutely busted list for Lugia. So let's break into it. So Lugia V-Star is one of the gatekeepers of the format. It's up there with Control being one of the strongest archetypes, purely because you can get Summoning Star out if you go second on your first turn of the game. Why? Because you have the likes of Wally. Wally is a really interesting supporter card which lets you evolve one of your Pokemon if you first put in play or if it's your first turn of the game. Now this is good because Pokemon didn't really think about V-Stars back like 10 years ago when they printed this card pretty much. So Lugia V-Star is really powerful. Getting that Summoning Star out as quick as possible. In the format where we have Burst Seeker and Bow Compressor, you can instantly get loads of discarding effects and really can get out of your Pokemon as quickly as possible. Double Colors Energy and Double Dragon, like I mentioned, absolutely broken the tag teams we have in this sort of format. We have really good attackers as well here. Like I mentioned, we have the Garchomp Giratina sort of tag team, which pretty much is this GX attack, which makes you pretty much, if you have multiple Double Dragon Energy attached to it, you get to pick up two of your opponent's Pokemon and put them into your hand, pretty much forcing your opponent, if they go first, to put three Pokemon out down and play, pretty much so they don't lose the game, which can be quite difficult if you're not playing supported turn one. And also we have another really powerful one, the Naganadel Guzzlord, which if you have multiple double dragon energy attached to it, you can take two additional prize cards, really good in the late game. And with special energy charge, you can shuffle in all those special energies back into the deck, constantly reusing them with the likes of Archeops. Very, very powerful. So you have multiple ways to get these Pokemon out. So once you have multiple draws and ways around the ability lock. Yes, Wobbuffet Path is a very tricky sort of situation, but we played quite a few decks as well, which potentially go around that sort of factor. So I want to talk to you now about the winning list and also some other lists we've done really well in the last couple of weeks, kind of seeing exactly how the deck has kind of evolved. So we see here we are very much, it's a Lugia deck, very, very powerful. Like I mentioned, the special energy charge, which is really good to shuffle in all your special energies. You have the likes of Bow Compressor to constantly get your Archeops and Supporter cards into the discard pile as quick as possible, and your three main attackers. The Giratina Garchomp is really, really powerful. Even though it does do that 160 plus 80 if they have additional damage comes on there, it's still pretty strong. But you see, like I mentioned, for that GX attack, if you have additional, pretty much 4 fighting energy, so all of your double dragon energies attached to your guy, you can instantly pretty much pick up two of your opponent's Pokemon and put them into your hand. Yes, you're only limited to one per turn, one per game, sorry, but that's still really, really powerful. I mentioned about the the Guzzlord and Naganadel, so that's a really decent little attack, but also can get additional 2 prize cards, which is really good in the late game or potentially early on in the game. And that Garchomp V, which is really powerful for literally 4 NGs, it's a 220 snipe on anything. Really, really powerful because bench barrier isn't really much of a huge thing right now in expanded format, so it can really capitalize on that extra snipe because loads of Pokemon and Vs and EXs do have that magic 220, so it's easy to get those KOs. Drapion is a really good card in this sort of deck because it's an answer to Shadow Rider Calyrex, which is a really, really powerful archive, and instantly getting 3 prize cards, you can go that plus the snipe and then use the Guzma thing. The Guzzlord is really, really powerful. Like I mentioned, you have very low supporter counts because of Bow Compressor and Versus Seeker. You can instantly get all of these cards out as quick as possible. I do like having the likes of Computer Search because it's really, really powerful in the way of getting out any Pokemon card you might potentially need. Now, like I mentioned, you are quite a bit scared about Wobbuffet, so Silent Lab is a pretty good answer to that. Pretty much stopping any of your abilities out and play, kind of making sure that you instantly can get your Lugia is really good as well. But because you can't put a Silent Lab and play, the likes of Dedenne and your Tapu Lele are kind of a bit weak as well, but Tapu Lele does still work under Wobbuffet, so it's still just as powerful. I generally think this deck is honestly incredibly powerful, and this really does showcase it. And let's talk to you exactly how the deck is kind of evolved. So this list actually won a couple weeks ago, and honestly, it's still really, really powerful. You can see it still plays some of the key archetype and key pieces. Double likes of double Garchomp V, which is definitely a bit different here, but also having likes of Squawkabilly EX. Really, really powerful on the early game, constantly discarding multiple cards as well with the likes of Dedenne and Squawkabilly. So you're trying to get out your Archeops Indiscop out as quickly as turn 1 is really, really powerful. Double option to play double Wally, which is really powerful as well, and multiple ways of sustaining bumps as well. 2 field blowers as well as 2 copies of Silent Lab. Silent Lab is definitely one of the strongest archetypes stadium cards right now, as well as like some Path to the Peak. And we also play Trainer's Mail, which I really like in this deck as well, to constantly trying to get any of your really key trainer cards you might potentially need. But it does opt to play a little bit less on the the likes of special engine charge to only get 3 copies, which is definitely a little bit on the low side. And if we just have a little look into some of the results happening over in online tournaments happening at Limitless, we can see that the deck is slowly starting to evolve a tiny bit. We are seeing definitely more of a Giraffe, which I like to have that counter to the control archetypes going around it. Faber return. Again, the double Wally, I'm really liking this style deck here. Playing more on the Silent Lab, I'm playing 3 of them. I do like having the Donate and Talkability and double Lele, which is very strong. Like I mentioned, the Wobbuffet Path is definitely quite a bit of a scary situation as well. But having that Tapu Lele could instantly try and get out that Wally, so you could instantly get the Lugias out. But saying goodbye to your Dedenes as well as Squawkabillies could potentially be quite detrimental to your setup. Heavy Ball is quite interesting, try and get, in case your Giratina's prize, you can constantly get out. I do like that card in the style deck here. Research is a nice conclusion as well, but also definitely playing the 4 VS Seekers, really capitalizing on the back compressors. Really, really powerful archetype. I generally think Lugia is super, super strong. So we just look at some of his strengths and weakness. Well, obviously, its strength is it can wipe out your opponent's board state going second and even going and turn 2, which is honestly absolutely insane. Deck which can absolutely obliterate your opponent is just incredibly powerful and something which you should definitely be considering it for. Sniping and engine recovery, the deck honestly constantly has a way around it. Having that instantly do 220 damage to the bench is really powerful. And like I mentioned, engine recovery is just super, super strong. Shuffling in all your energies. Pretty much, you remember how good Owner Fatality is right now in standard Lugia. Having it for any energy is really, really strong. And that's exactly why Lugia is really powerful. Like I mentioned, the Wob Path Lock is definitely a bit of a weakness, but you have a ways around that. Tapu Lele, option to go with that instead of like some. You're not ever going to play Jirachi, but also like some Luminion. And it's really strong, but definitely Path to Beat can be very much a tricky situation. Constantly trying to find ways to go around that. You do play multiple field blows, you do play the likes of computer search as well. So definitely something to be bearing in mind. But obviously you do focus too much on that turn 1 or 2 summoning start. Try and get out the attack as early as possible. It's just really, really strong. I generally think Lugia, it doesn't have too many weaknesses right now. Control is definitely up there. That ability lock, and obviously the likes of item lock, if you go further, is really strong. But there's so many cards which are banned, it's kind of difficult to get out those sort of big combinations right now. But Lugia V-Star is definitely a really worthy deck. It's right now, I would say, the second strongest deck right now in the format. It has a strong weakness to control. I do think that's the case. But if you disagree with that, please argue that in the comments, because I'm still learning a lot more about Expand as well. And I know Control is definitely one of the strongest archetypes. And Lugia Vista is definitely up there as well. So I want to know exactly everyone's thoughts and feelings on this one. And it's a very aggressive and powerful archetype. If they ever say like Expand is returning, I wouldn't be surprised if Lugia V-Star prices and all these tag teams are absolutely skyrocketing in price, but people will be playing Lugia V-Star because it is just that powerful of an archetype. So I hope you've really enjoyed this video. Sorry, I'm just losing my voice near the end of it. And if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like and subscribe down below. We are going to see a return of Expanded kind of like hopefully soon. And I'm going to be constantly covering this as well. And I hope you enjoy this content. Maybe I'll talk about Control next week. Or if you've got another idea, please comment down below and I'll get back and talk to you about that archetype, which I'm really excited about. This is definitely one of the more aggressive decks I've kind of covered about. Miraidon and Palkia, definitely more of the fun, still aggressive, but more of the fun style Expanded. But Lugia is definitely one of those really aggressive gatekeeper archetypes in the expanded format. So hope you enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. Bye for now.